Hey there, welcome back to Cisco Reads Books. Today we got a Military Thriller Thursday review for you. Try saying that shit 5 times fast. And today it is The Tin Man by Dale Brown. So this is book 7 in the Patrick McClanahan series. And I'm going to read you some of the blurb because this was one of the ones where it was like both front and back jacket copy. But to give you some context, this book was copyrighted in 1998, the good old times, before the millennium. So yeah, let me read you the back of the book. Let's see what we're getting into. The Tin Man. Some call him a terrorist, others call him a vigilante hero, dressed in a carbon filament bodysuit that can instantly harden into stronger than steel protective armor. A mysterious figure the public has dubbed the Tin Man roams the urban landscape of Sacramento, California, on a search and destroy mission. While some want him dead and others want him decorated, only a handful of people know the truth of who he is. Patrick McClanahan. The nation's most heroic aerial warrior, now retired, who for 15 years risked his life for his country in the U.S. military. He is the civilian director of scientific development of a high-tech company specializing in strategic devices for the armed forces. His workplace, the laboratory, not the cockpit. But when his rookie cop brother is injured in a shootout following a bank robbery, McClanahan becomes a one-man army. The enemy is within, on the streets of his own country, and he is the Avenger. His targets are international terrorist turned drug lord Gregory Townsend and his Aryan Brigade, which are masterminding the violence taking over the city. Townsend and the brigade, out to destroy government authority in pursuit of their racist ideology, fear nothing, but there's one thing they haven't counted on: the Tin Man. Wherever he goes, Patrick McClanahan's swift and violent justice overpowers the enemy, but at a price. Innocent lives are put in jeopardy whenever he appears, because the police lose tactical control. The more he tests the limits of his technological power and his own courage, the more he is forced to face up to the implications of what he is doing. Has his passion for revenge taken him over the line? Is his personal war part of the solution to the violent crime sweeping the country, or is it part of the problem? Is Patrick McClanahan a patriot, become a renegade? Dale Brown has given us a hero who must ultimately decide between his own ability to single-handedly take on the forces of violence and the power of established laws to secure a peaceful society. Authoritative in its cutting-edge technology and dazzling in its portrait of life on the streets of American cities, The Tin Man is a novel of consummate suspense. So, as you can tell from that description, this is much different from every other book in the Patrick McClanahan series. This is much more a case of straight up crime thriller with a vigilante spin to it, and just using the weapons of war against a street gang. So we start off the book with the Brotherhood of the Satan's Brotherhood, which is a biker gang who basically gets co-opted into working with Gregory Townsend, and then is, subsequently murdered in fiery meth explosions. And this all happens within like the first chapter. This book, like I said, is much different. This one hits you in the feels like page 10 when his brother is shot, because at the same time, Patrick McClanahan is also having his baby, who, if you've been reading the series, has been a wild ride, to say the least. And there's complications. So, like, immediately Dale Brown just grabs you by the nuts and is like, yes, here is the emotions. And it doesn't stop. The suspense, the the coming together of what legally the police can do to stop these people isn't going to be enough, because they've never really come up against somebody of Gregory Townsend's kind of ilk before. So, like, regular police measures and the weapons that they have back in the 90s, like, this was before AR 15s were like standard issue for police. AR 15s, M4s, it's all set. Assault rifles were like the standard loadout that police carried with them. Like, they had shotguns and they had pistols, and that was about it. And then they're going up against, mercenaries with MP5s and criminals with like AK-47s. So the fact of the matter is, like, the police were outgunned in this period, and it was around this time, basically right before 9/11, that people realized that the police were woefully underprepared for the wave of criminality that was happening from street gangs, from just regular citizens. Like, the amount of firepower that the police were carrying was like just not enough to deal with the issues that, like, modern day America was facing crime wise. So yeah, this, although it was very different from the geopolitical military thrillers that we've gotten thus far from the Patrick McClanahan series, this book does not lessen that experience. In fact, and as a book 7 in a series, this kind of character development that we get from Patrick at this point is completely necessary. We've had 6 books of him going out and blowing shit up from a plane, without any kind of real deep character development on his part. I mean, there have been moments of him breaking through and kind of, learning to deal with new situations, but that was always in the context of like a military operation, not so much in the context of like personal growth for Patrick. Well, this book says fuck that and gives him the personal development in like the most brutal way possible. Like it says in the blurb, his brother's almost killed, like in a very brutal kind of terrorist action. They called it a bank robbery, but in the book they refer to it as a terrorist attack. And just the lengths that Patrick goes to after that almost loss of his brother is just phenomenal. He's dealing with rage, he's dealing with guilt, he's dealing with all of these things that he's never really had to face before. And then, not to mention the relationship with his brother and not being able to tell him any of the covert shit that he does is, another wedge in the relationship. Because, like, Paul, his brother, looks up to Patrick and he just wants to know what his brother does. Like, he knows he's a hero. He just wants to know a little bit about him. And so, like, that kind of personal development in this series is like absolutely 100% necessary. And I think that the way that he did that with this story and kind of changing it up to more of a crime thriller, with Patrick McClanahan as the Tin Man vigilante, was just supreme story writing. I gave this one like a 4.5 stars, which was, it probably could have been a 5. Some of the lead up to the vigilantism, it took a little while, much more of a slow burn, which isn't usually Dale Brown's style, but that kind of, it took away a half a star for that, because I did want it to be kind of balls to the walls thriller action, and there was kind of more of a slower build up to this one. But when you look back at it, the slower buildup is because he was dealing with so much internal turmoil, basically. So with that, I forgave him. On Goodreads, it still looks like it's a 5 because they don't do the half a star bullshit. And eventually I'll start rating these, and probably out of 10, because because like out of 10 stars, this would have been like a 7, which is great. Like, it's still a good book. But with the way Goodreads, we're getting away from that. From now on, we're gonna rate them out of 10, and it's gonna be probably like 3 different categories, and then taking the total score at the end, just to give a more comprehensive review of like what's going on in the book. So yeah, the Tin Man by Dale Brown, a fantastic novel, Patrick McClanahan series, book number 7, and I highly suggest that if you have not read a Patrick McClanahan book at this series, at this point in the YouTube channel, and you've watched all these videos, how can you not have started book 1? Come on, read Flight of the Old Dog. Get into Patrick McClanahan. Get into Dale Brown. Let's get this shit show rolling. And until next time, read, because reading is fundamental.